So you're super excited just like me to see the release of 2XKO when you're wondering if your favorite character is going to make it into the game. Today we're going to talk about Luxana Crownguard and how her kit would function in a fighting game. Let's start by super rapidly going over each of her abilities and her passive in League of Legends. Her passive just makes it so her next auto attack consumes the passive and deals bonus damage. Her Q roots and applies the passive. Her W is a shield that she can throw and hits allies as well and hits them on their way back. Her E slows the target inside and after the hit. She can detonate it early, but it also explodes on her own after a while. It also applies the passive, and her R is just a big damage ability that also applies the passive while consuming it or whatever the fuck. Alright, so now we'll be comparing these abilities from League of Legends to two characters from two different fighting games who I believe are very similar to how Lux could be perceived. Those characters being Testament from Guilty Gear Strive and JP from Street Fighter 6, to give you guys an example of how you could reimagine these abilities in a fighting game scenario. So first of all, her passive. Her passive could be similar to how Stained State works for Testament in Guilty Gear Strive. Stained State gives you bonus damage and a launcher on hit, which allows for great combo extension, and on block, it gives you additional plus frames, which allows you to run unsafe mix-ups, now making them safe. Her Q would be your standard fireball. Probably it wouldn't root anymore because a root in a fighting game on block or on hit would be kind of unfun. So just a standard fireball which hits grounds the opponent, and just like how Testament can do air fireballs, maybe Lux will have the ability to do air Q as well. W is kind of a weird one. The ability to shield allies could be utilized in a tag fighter to kind of use as an assist, but it's likely that they scrap this ability altogether. But Lux's W isn't really a character defining ability, so if you have any ideas in the comment for how the W could be used, just leave them down below. Lux's E could have amazing utility, can be detonated on command similarly to how JP uses Departure, and in a completely different way it could also be used just like Milia's Disc from Guilty Gear Strive, which you would place underground after a knockdown and would allow you to run a much stronger mix-up. Her R would probably be our level 2 super. Why level 2 super and not level 1 or level 3? Let me explain real quick. So in Street Fighter 6, level 1 supers are your universal reversals, but they don't deal the greatest damage, and they can also be used as a combo if you want. The main characteristic is that they're very cheap to use, and they're invisible on wake up. The level 3 supers are your big damage slash finisher move. They're also invincible. They have a max damage killing, meaning at worst they'll deal 50% of the damage they do normally. So you can use them to cash out, just use all your damage and really blast your opponent. Now level 2s have a lot more utility and a lot more variety. Let me give you some examples. So you got your installs, similar to Guile or Blanca. You got your extender, just like Ed and JP, which can be used on Oki or to extend a combo on a hit. You also got your classic combo enders like DJ, Ryu, or Ken, who aren't invincible on wake up compared to the level 1, but give you much more utility. Even in 2XKO, Illaoi's level 2 would fall within that category, as she only summons tentacles that don't do anything to extend her combo. So it seems to me like Lux's ultimate as a level 2 would make a lot of sense. You would apply her passive similarly to how Testament's super work, which would allow you to either extend your combos on hit, or give you a much more advantageous position on block, where even in a difficult situation you can always just spend level 2 to apply your passive and run your pressure from there. It's true that Lux's R could be considered a level 3 by some people, but I still think that letting the level 3 open for something more creative is probably what they're gonna do, because it just has such great utility as a level 2 super. Alright, so finally let's just talk about her design and how she would work in a fighting game. She could use her staff in a similar way that JP does, just like how JP isn't the most athletic Street Fighter 6 character, but he's still pretty strong, and having a cane gives him some great disjointed buttons that he can use to poke and whatever, and it gives him additional range, which kind of solidifies him as a longer range, mid-range slash long range character. They'll obviously have to create new normal moves, just like how they did with Ahri, who isn't normally a melee character, but she still needed to have these light, medium, and heavy buttons to initiate her combos and just be still potent at close range. Alright, so finally, let's just talk about an overview of how her kit would work in a 2v2 scenario. So Lux would work great as a kind of mid-range slash long-range zoner, and her passive would allow for amazing synergy with any teammate she could be with, right? Because if we decide that her teammates can also apply the passive, you get some crazy situation where a Lux with either an Ahri or an Echo, which we know now have great cross-up and mix-up potentials, would be an amazing synergy where Lux would put her E down on the ground, tag in her teammate, and the teammate would run an insanely difficult mix-up to defend, which would then detonate Lux's passive and allow for a great combo extension afterwards. So just think about how cool it would be, to see like Lux drops her E, you switch into your Ahri, get overhead, go back, whoop, 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 just like Melia's disc, and you get like the biggest combo extension. Imagine if Melia from Guilty Gear Strive could apply Stained State from Testament. That'd be so awesome. Alright, that's pretty much it for me today, guys. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this gave you a greater idea of how Lux could be interpreted in a fighting game scenario. If you have a character you want me to analyze next, let me know in the comments. I'd be down to like go over the entirety of League of Legends cast, even though I haven't played every single champ. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day, and we're super excited for Project L. Please let me know if you get invited to the beta. We could share our account, please, guys. Thank you. Bye. Hey, everyone. The video is pretty much over now. If you were only interested about the Lux in a fighting game part, you can click off whenever. Just wanted to like, do kind of an outro. This is like where I probably put my supporters on Patreon if I had any type beat. It's that part of the video. You can click off whenever, but still wanted to talk a bit, maybe a bit slower, because I tried to keep this video very fast, which was a pretty big challenge. Talking in English at such a pace made it so I had to constantly go back in the recording and split off some sections where I maybe fumbled my words and whatever. Yeah, this video was a pretty fun project to make. Took me a lot longer to edit than I thought, and if I do decide to make more videos about more League of Legends characters, like, I'm definitely gonna take a different approach than I did for this one. The biggest realization I came up with during the production of this video is that a character is really not defined by their 4 buttons and its passive, It's a lot more about that character identity. If I were to like make a video on Fiora, for example, which I believe would make a perfect addition as a parry character to Project L, it'd be a lot less focused on her Q giving her a dash or her W boosting her attack speed on the next attack or whatever, but more on abstract concepts such as, precision, because Fiora is a fencer and a duelist and she has these very precise and fast strike, and maybe it's not that much about strength but more about like spacing and movement and everything. And obviously the parry is a very weak part of her kit, but it's not necessarily about her E, it's just that she has a parry. Same goes for the vital system. It's not something very concrete, but you can still apply it to the fighting game, if you wanted to transform the vitals into forward, backward, overheads and lows. That could be something pretty interesting that I might talk about if I ever do end up making a video on Fiora. So once again, thank you very much for watching, guys. It was a super fun project to make, and I really hope I decide to make more in the future. If you have any character suggestion, once again, just let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.